Joining me now is Kenny Scott Guffey, director of the Rick Nelson documentary that we've all been waiting for, breathlessly waiting for this documentary to be released, and finally it is finished and it's going to be released. Thanks for talking with us today, Kenny.
Anytime. I'm always glad to talk about Rick, and I'm always glad to talk to the people of Guntersville.
Well, before we get into our discussion about the documentary, if you will, kind of introduce yourself to our audience. So what is your background, Kenny?
Oh, sure. I first and foremost like to describe myself as a girl dad. I'm a dad to a rambunctious 7-year-old. She is my joy. And when the pandemic started was kind of when I myself started getting into film production, and I started as a podcaster and worked my way into the film industry that way. And I'd done some horror movies previously, but it kind of gets a bit stale doing the same thing over and over. And so I wanted to branch out a bit. And the first project that I tackled was the Rick Nelson film that we're discussing. So happy to be here.
Well, that kind of leads me into my first question about the documentary. There's different angles you could have approached it from, but you chose to approach it from the Guntersville angle. Why was that, Kenny?
So, I've always been a lifelong Rick Nelson fan ever since I was a teenager. I discovered his story in a magazine when I was probably, 15, 16, something like that. And, I knew the history of Guntersville, at least as far as its association with Rick. And we were coming back from a family vacation last summer. It was June of 2024. And we were coming through Alabama, and I was curious how close we were to Guntersville on our trip back. And we weren't in a rush, so I put it in the GPS, and we were like 20 minutes away, and I was like, oh, detour, okay. So we stopped. I wanted to see the hotel, and I wanted to see the former PJ's Alley building, which is now Pizza Ed, which has amazing pizza, by the way. We had to stop, and we had it was kind of like a late lunch, early dinner that we had there at Pizza Ed. I wanted to see those locations, and we were sitting there, and I happened to look over in the Pizza Ed building, and the corner of the stage is still there in that building. I was like, oh, that's amazing. That's the stage, right? I was like, that's the stage. Okay. And so then when I was checking out the hotel, I went and was looking I was standing actually on the edge of the dock down there, because Guntersville Lake is absolutely beautiful. And, I'm from Kentucky, and we have Lake Cumberland, and I don't mean any negativity towards Lake Cumberland, but Guntersville Lake is absolutely beautiful. I was standing there on the dock, and it occurred to me that, all these locations are still there, and all the people are still there. And that portion of Rick's life is typically kind of glossed over, almost treated like a footnote. When you hear about it or read about it in biographies, it's almost just like it's saying that he was returning from a concert in Guntersville, and that's pretty much it. And I was thinking, this is a story that I think needs to be told while we have the opportunity to talk to the people that were there, to see the places that are relevant to Rick's story, and preserve that for all time.
Well, the last time we spoke, Kenny, was last spring. You and your crew were right here in Guntersville filming your documentary on Rick Nelson. And now that it's completed, how do you feel about the finished documentary?
Maybe I'm biased, but I absolutely love the finished product. I really do. It is very beautiful, and I say that as a Rick Nelson fan, because I was scared that I was, too close to the project, that I wasn't going to be able to enjoy it because it wasn't going to be, as a Rick Nelson fan, up to par with what I would be expecting. But our editor and co-director, Sammy Jabor, he did an amazing job with the editing. And I mean, he was editing from, that was last spring when we spoke, and he started editing immediately after that. And he was editing up until just a few weeks ago, and he has done a fantastic job. I can't commend him enough for the and I hesitate to say the word, the work that he did, because it's almost like that's an understatement. I mean, he really tackled this head on with staying up late nights and early mornings, and he was scouring the internet for just the right clips, just the right photos. He wanted to get the interview subjects exactly right as they needed to be in the film. And, like I said, I was afraid that I wasn't going to enjoy it because I was too close to it and say, it's good, but it's not what I would watch if I were a Rick Nelson fan. But no, I really am very pleased with the finished product. Fingers and toes crossed, I really hope that everyone in Guntersville is going to like it just as much as we do, because we've all really enjoyed it.
Kenny, you could have had the premiere anywhere, but you chose to have it in Guntersville. It's going to be this Sunday night. Why did you choose Guntersville?
You can't have a film called Rick Nelson Guntersville anywhere else but Guntersville. And we really wanted to pay homage to Rick and to the town itself. I keep saying I appreciate Guntersville sharing their legacy with us. So we're premiering it Sunday night, 7 p.m. Central Time. We're going to have the film screening on the same stage where Rick last played. I thought that was the only way that we could premiere this film. So I'm again appreciative for Guntersville letting us come back to town and screen this film. It is completely free. There's no cost, no tickets. It didn't feel right charging admission or anything, because we want this to be something that Guntersville embraces and something that they can be a part of. And we just didn't feel right about charging admission for it.
Well, it's going to be at the former PJ's Alley. Now, the Pizza Ed building in North Guntersville, everyone knows where it is. You said 7 p.m., the screening of the new documentary. We've seen the trailer. Now we get to see the entire documentary, and we get to see it first right here in Guntersville. Kenny, will you and the crew be available, say, after the documentary is screened to talk with people?
Oh, yes, for sure. And that actually was an idea that we didn't even have until this week. It just kind of came to me, and I asked the crew, would you guys want to do like a Q&A with the attendees? And they were like, sure, yeah, let's do it. And because I'm always down for anything, but yeah, we'll be there to talk to them after the film, answer any questions that they have about the project, about shooting the project. We would like to actually shoot more films in Guntersville, maybe not documentaries, maybe documentaries, I don't know. But we are looking at Guntersville for potential locations for future projects as well, because it is so scenic. And the aesthetic of the town in general is just beautiful. Honestly, Rick loved it when he visited, and he wanted to come back. And I could see that, because when I was there the first time, I was so upset because I was like, I'm working this whole time I'm here. I don't get to stop and enjoy this town the way it needs to be enjoyed. And so we're coming down a day early. We're coming down Saturday, and I'm going to kind of just get a feel for just being there and just enjoying that, being in the moment that we're there. But yeah, we're going to be available. And, so please, anybody who's listening, come out, ask us anything, we'll talk to you. We'll stay as long as you want. We'll have a good time. We want it to be a night where we celebrate Rick, when we celebrate Guntersville.
That is quite a nice invitation, and a little exciting news there that we got as well about the future, and maybe Guntersville being included in some additional future work that is produced by Kenny Scott Guffey and the crew that did the Rick Nelson documentary. Kenny, thank you so much for inviting everyone and providing it free of charge this coming Sunday night at the former PJ's Alley, now the Pizza Ed building in Guntersville, beginning at 7 p.m. I can't wait.
Thank you, Kerry. I appreciate you.